Welcome back to On the Nose. Once again, I'm joined in studio by my good friend Thad Taylor. Thad, welcome back in.
Thank you, Paulie. Always a pleasure, mate. Enjoy this little segment, as I continue to say, but I think we can learn something along the way with a bit of On the Nose, so I love it.
Why don't we get straight into it then? There were two meetings last Saturday, two domestic thoroughbred meetings, one down south, one up north, and we'll head to the South Island first. Riccarton, race one. And Opie almost got it done there, but maybe Diva down the outside.
Yes, having its first start down south for Andrew Carson's Maybe Diva. Don't know if I'm in love with the name, Maybe Diva.
It's a wee bit close to the bar, just a wee bit?
A little bit close.
Okay.
But hey, it's another show, I think. Not one that we've made up yet either. But look, Riccarton sort of swung and lost and won on.
One jockey?
One jockey, one stable. And look, it was just crucial to watch those markets down there on Saturday. And I said as much at the top of the show on trackside that it would be very revealing with these horses being first up down there and, haven't had a run in a while. You need to watch closely what the marketplace was doing late. And that did prove to be the case. Loch Mara Bay, in saying all that, was $3 into $2.15 and very well backed. Opie Boston aboard and didn't run a bad race to run second. But gee, Maybe Diva was good. One star, big odds at Ellerslie, and then tricked off down south and won a trial. But it was $4.50 out to $6, plus 15,000. Lucky Ferrando was steady, didn't really yelp. Shaka Bra, we opened $6.50. It drifted to $11, no money at all, and ran accordingly. And our Sally Ann, there was some money for at odds, long odds for the Pitman team, and it missed the start, was out of play early. Maybe one to mark down our Sally Ann, but Maybe Diva was probably the one to mark down. It was good. It was plus 15 to start the day for the TAB at Riccarton.
Race 2, Graham John got home over the top of Russian Rosette. Jack Taplin finds another winner. Going all right?
Yeah, going very well. Led them up, Graham John, and got the job done well and truly. Now, here's the first of the examples of the day where Hooray for Harry was $3 into $2.80, first up for Opie Boston and Tiakau.
I think you might give Hooray for Harry another chance after he didn't really get any opportunities down the straight there.
No, he didn't. I don't know. Well, hey, look, I don't know if he would have picked up Graham John, but I guess that we'll never know.
He didn't get the opportunity.
He didn't get the opportunity, no doubt. So he was unlucky, but he was $3 to $2.80 out to $3.90, minus 80,000. So customers continue to back them because the Tiakau and Opie, but the marketplace willing to take them on late. And the stablemate was $7 into $3.90 in the marketplace, Best Rose, who actually, ironically, held the favourite, or the opening favourite in. Yes, a closed favourite as well. Oh, no, it didn't. Graham John closed favourite. Mm-hmm. East and West, there's been money for it the last few times it's been to the races, and it ran a reasonable fourth for the Pitman team. But they backed two horses. One was Best Rose, the stablemate of the opening favourite, 7 into $3.90, and they backed Graham John into favourite. 4 out to $4.40, back to $3.50, and got the job done. Plus, but that meant it was plus 20 to the TAB as Hooray for Harry was all the rage.
Race 3, and this is where the Opie factor comes into play for the bookies this time. Cool as a Rain, not quite able to hold on, and the stablemate Beldemont gets the win. And I'm guessing not the worst result for bookies.
No, it wasn't. It was $3.20 out to $5. I think everyone was sort of suggesting that this was going to be Cool as a Rain's race now, and then Beldemont may, potentially have the greater upside down the line in terms of 1,400, 1,600 metres. So they'd all backed Cool as a Rain, which was $2.15 into $1.90, but then back to the opening quote of $2.15. Miss Ziggy, we were speaking to Andrew Carston on Saturday morning, and the betting reflected it before Andrew even told us. Miss Ziggy was going to improve with the run. Was probably going to benefit with the run. Ran a nice race, Miss Ziggy, but $3.20 out to $4.50. The big move came for Eternal Light, 15 into $6. Now, first up this time in for the Tappers, Bruce Tapper, 15 into $6. So a decent move there, but Cool as a Rain got to $1.90, back to $2.15, but it was minus 80,000. Beldemont, who comes into calculation for 1,000 guineas now on the back of that, you would think, was plus 50,000.
Race 4, and here we go. I love the name, Ka Ying Lucky. There's one or two sprinters going around The name of the old Car Ying.
Yeah, I don't think this one will be in the Everest.
Okay,
but,
all right.
No disrespect to the horse, of course.
Nice win, though.
Yeah, look, I mean, back to the 1,000 metres, that was the key. And Susie Gordon almost said as much prior to it running over 1,200 last time out, that it was going to be a question mark. The heavy track it struck that day on the end of the Grand National Day in the 1,200 metres, back to the 1,000, and an improving track. It didn't want it good carrying lucky, but it didn't probably want it heavy either. So I'm surprised it went from 10 to 12. Meanwhile, our customers love backing it. It was the minus 20,000 carrying lucky. La Ballanera was on our opening favourite, $3.70 out to $5, back to $4.20 late, but no money for La Ballanera at any point, really. Perfect scenario was $3.80 into $3.20, back to $3.80. The 1,000 metres had to be too short. I was honestly surprised it moved early on, and then all the hard money came late for Third Decree, which was probably the right move all along, particularly with the improving track. It was 5 into 3, but ran second, couldn't pick up Car Ying Lucky, who had the residual race day fitness, but it was a losing result for the TAB. They love backing this horse. They got it right when it got back to the 1,000, minus 20,000 Car Ying Lucky.
Race 5, and Kylie Williams and Say Satono, I'm guessing, do the bookies a big favour by getting over the top of Legally Binding.
Yeah, another one where we have to watch the market late to tell us what was happening here. 220 into 210, Legally Binding back to 290 at the death. So they're taking them on again. So you want to be noting that down. Yes, they obviously, it's only suggesting that it's not a 50% chance of winning. It's a 33% chance of winning, but it probably says more than that in reality of some of the stuff. And it doesn't mean can't win or won't win, and didn't run a bad race either, Legally Binding. So it was minus 110,000. Say Satono first up was 7 out to 850 plus 35,000. They backed 2 horses to beat Legally Binding in that market. One was I Spy for the Andertons, ran well, 750 into 480, and Toahaka taken on in front and faded out of it. But it was 7 into 460, and it was a losing result as well. But Say Satono plus 35.
Race 6, and Miss NZ gets home. Drifted out early on, and then they came in for some late support.
Just tickled in late, 11 to 10. It opened 8.50. Again, the Te Akea team, look, they were on Can't Catch Me. This was Opie again. But this one was hard in the market, so it didn't perform up to scratch for whatever reason. 5.50 into $3.40. Our Millie B, 5.50 out to $7 was the stablemate. And our Persona, who ran second, there was a bit of money for this, 27 into $20. Our Persona for Danny Fry. Plus 15, Miss NZ with all that money for Can't Catch Me again.
Race 7, number 4, Bellaluce.
Don't you start this with me. I haven't got time to get in these name pronunciation battles again.
Just get Sarah in front of full of gusto.
Again, we were having, I always say Bellaluce. Someone said Bellaluce on Saturday. Apologies to anyone that knows what it is.
To the connections,
yes. Whatever I say will be the wrong one. But geez, game, honest, loves it down south, always runs a good race, ran a good race again. It was 5 into 460 plus 15,000 for us because they backed Far Blue, even though it was 348 to 390. Another mare in excellent form. Again,
Opie factor.
Yeah, exactly. And then Mr. Bully T was a mover, 950 into 550, led them up. And only sort of faded out of it very late to finish about 4th. And Return Flight ran well, and that was the late mover, 5.50 into $4.20. At Pro Serve, we opened at $5, and there was no money at all. It was all the way up to $11. But because of that money for Far Blue and Mr. Bully T in particular, Bellaluce was plus 15.
Race 8, another one for Tiago Cognito at double digits.
Yeah, I have to say surprising. I mean, I know it was Courtney Barnes and Vinny was on Stony Brick, and the initial move came for Stony Brick too. It was around 6.50 into 5.50. And Cognito just kept getting out, $7.50 to $13. First up at a mile, I suppose, maybe a bit of a query about it, but good horse on its day. Contested some good races in its career. Too Much was the favourite. It was steady at around 4.50. 2 shorteners. Ears Back. She's caused us some headaches in her lifetime. The mare Ears Back. 15 into 9. She led them up and couldn't finish off. Riviera Rebel ran a good race. 9 into 6. Back to 8.50 late. but it ran nicely for third. But missed Cognito, 750 out to 13 plus 20.
Final race of the day, Show Pony gets home for Jack Taplin at around the $4-5 mark.
Yeah, I'd say class also. The field competed in some good Guineas races last. Prep first up. John Blackadder again. The interesting thing here was that the stablemate, Am I In It, was very well backed with us. It was 41 into 23 and it sat outside leader or led them up? I think sat outside leader. Yes, it did. And boxed on well for about fifth or sixth, but Show Pony got a great run through from, it was just sat back the fence, about 3 or 4 back the fence, and came one off the fence and got it home, but it was 380 out to 440 plus 10,000. Tanya's Dragon was the big shortener. It was 950 into $5, minus 53,000. Vinny gave it a peach, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't finish. It was pulling a little bit on the run, but I don't know. 950 into $5 anyway. It's the second time they've unloaded on Tanya's Dragon. It hasn't quite been able to do the job, but Show Pony 380 out to 440 plus 10,000.
Overall,
tough day because of the Te Akau and Opie Bosson factor, generally speaking. I mean, hooray for Harry, Cool as Arena, and Legally Binding. They were the 3 big cogs for the day. And you chuck in a Miss NZ here, even a Maybe Diva. Made it tough. It was a plus 150,000 for the TAB at Riccarton. But look, I mean, those 3 win, and we're talking about a completely different ball game.
We can talk about that sort of money walking out the door, not staying in the door.
100%.
Right.
So it was just one of those. It was just one of those things. But as I said, it was more important than ever on Saturday to watch those markets this time of year with all those Te Akau runners being first up, to watch them closely late to sort of get the real read. And this time they were right more often than they weren't, to be fair.
Right, let's head to the North Island now into the Central Districts. Wanganui, where it was HS Dyke Wanganui Guineas Day. At race 1, Amazing Sun with Jonathan Riddell gets home just in front of Shameless Star.
Yeah, Shameless Star was good first up. He chucked it in the deep end there. Peter Didham, I had a chat to him prior to the run, and they put it into the size produce, I think it was, the Group 1 anyway for 2-year-olds. It was good. He obviously got an opinion of it. It's steady in around 450, didn't budge. Amazing Shum was the big shortener. It was dual accepted. It was $5 into $3.20 when it accepted into this race. Well, not when it accepted. That's what it started at. Amazing Sun 320. It was minus 20,000. The result would have been worse had it not been for Feel the Stag for the Marsh team. It was 320 out to $4 with all this money for Amazing Sun, and it was a little bit soft at its debut run late as well at Te Rapa. So but maybe a trend there. And Ruby Rose was the other one we had in commission, but it was friendless. 4 out to 8, and it ran accordingly. Dark Tornado just might be one to note down. The first 3 around the corner were the first 3 home in race 1. Dark Tornado was a first starter for Joe Rathbone. There wasn't a lot of money for it, and it sweet up. Got out the back and 3 wide and went via the Cape, as they say in the industry, and then just was getting home very late. It was 10 out to 12, Dark Tornado. I think when you see a positive move in, you'd want to be on Dark Tornado. But Amazing Sun, tough start for us, good start for customers. 5 into 320 minus 20.
Race 2, Rich Attitude gets home for Chris Dell at around $6.
Yeah, and look, not overly surprising, and it was 5 out to 6, but I suppose the big story here was Night Owl, who they really hammered in these bonus back races. They just had their heart set on Night Owl. 4 into 3, minus 100,000, but obviously didn't feature. Time after time, it's becoming costly. It was slow again and got back and never really featured. And Just a Dude, who actually led them up, and it's like a 19-start maiden or maybe 15-start maiden, and never placed, and it's live, was 31 into 18, and looked the winner at the 200-metre mark, only to be hauled over late by Rich Attitude. So I think they were thinking on pace was the place to be, and that sort of changed as the day went on, but certainly in those
early on in the day, it certainly looked like that was the trend.
Exactly. So I think that's maybe why they thought, 31's around this horse, which is almost guaranteed to lead, was a bit of value, and they nearly got it right around Just a Dude, but all the money was with Night Owl and to a lesser degree Time After Time, plus 60, Rich Attitude.
Race 3, Humza Bay.
Yeah, tough to go back-to-back from maidens to 65s and have a win-win. They did do that, $4.40 out to $5. But, it was quite well found by our odds setters. Crunchy Boy was the mover, 6 into 390. Looked to have its chance. They got the split the right time, just died on the run. There was money for Trainwreck. It was quite a busy market, this actually. There was money for Trainwreck. It was deemed a value bet by some of the lads on course. I think Justin Evans had in his numbers. Steve Hunt may have as well, 11 into 950 minus 40. Sam's Turn was minus 50,000 for the Greys. And Monologue, first up for ARA, Alexander Fields. Good to see those colours back out there. She was on an Oaks path, the daughter of contributor, and didn't finish back out of it in a lowland, got freshened up, and there was money, 17 into 10, back to 13 late, but ran a really nice race for third. So
what I'm hearing is here's one we should be looking out for.
Yeah, it could be the on the nose, follow the money edition horse this week. You just never know.
That's what I heard.
I think you know me too well. But look, they all back Crunchy Boy plus 30 Humza Bay. I guess customers of the marketplace thinking tough to go back to back. But geez, gave nothing else to look in really. It's that 3 wide, gave Kate Urcock an awful time of it. Hanging, wouldn't get round the corner and still too good. So maybe a horse with some promise.
Race 4. And this is where I was hoping that the trend of those up front hanging on and winning would have continued. But in the end, Mary Shan came with a withering burst down the outside just to get up over the top of Amend.
Yeah, yes. Oh, yes, you're Amend, weren't you? Yeah, my Caitlin's Wish, but was over at the start, fell out the gates.
And stayed there.
Well, yeah, it was never once it fell. Once it was back there, it was never getting. It was never going to take over. Yes, it did. And there was less speed than everyone thought. And Caitlin's Wish was a very good reason why that was the case. Marketplace had this sort of nailed down to 2. And
she was the class runner in the field. Of course, you had Constantino, but that had all the form on the poly and was up front as they came around the turn. But possibly the heavy track just told a wee bit too much.
It's an intriguing market because Cosentino was short. Cosentino? Yeah, was short. But Steve Hunt sort of nailed it on the leg up. He does have his moments, very few and far between, of course. But where he said he may actually shorten off that because all the ratings and the people that, affect these markets, he was ringing all those bells. But the old traditionalists, like maybe you and I to a degree, were looking at it going, geez, it's on the poly. It's got a heavy 10 at Wanganui. I wouldn't touch it, but he was 310 into 250, back to 310, back to his opening quote. And meanwhile, Mary Shan was 370 into 330. So I think they got it down to 2 and they were having a bit of a bob each way. If it wasn't going to be Cosentino, Mary Shan would do it. To be fair to them, they got it right. Mary Shan was break-even result, even though it was a shortener. Cosentino, I mean, probably quite a good horse. And the trainer there, Stephen Gray, almost said as much, but they were obviously concerned about the heavy 10. And Justin Evans whipped them into a frenzy around Rein It In, rather. It was minus 110,000, the rank outsider. But break-even Mary Shan, good to see her back. She's onwards towards a Howden Mile. That's the second leg of the Triple Crown now.
The Hawke's Bay, Auckland, Waikato Triple Crown.
Don't go there. Not today. What's next?
Race 5, feature race, the HS Dyke Wanganui Guineas, and Lisa Latta gets one home with Platinum Diamond. Looked very, very good doing it as well. Chermat, not the worst.
Chermat, very good. Had to sit 3 wide, almost in the breeze there for the last 800.
He's still learning the ropes as well, but he is showing improvement.
Yeah, I think the other 2 to take out of it. Obviously, she was great, and backed. Say to the exclusion of all others, she was 4 into $2.35 as War Princess drifted 460 out to 7. So the marketplace knew she was going to benefit with the run, the speedy fill-in. And then we lost Bonaforza out of the race. Just anything that came and drifted as Platinum Diamond rocketed in late and they got it right. For example, Chermat was 8 into 550, back to 8. And to Bravery Born shortened up. It was okay. We'd want to see it again probably. But Chermat ran very well. Platinum Diamond was obviously very good and now is $12 and 1,000 guineas and has done nothing wrong. 3 stakes races in a row, and War Princess, well, we'll just have to wait and see. But they got it right. The market nailed it, minus 60,000 Platinum Diamond.
Race 6 and Knockoff gets home in front of Wheelerton and McCann. Around $5. So did the bookies get this one right?
Yeah, they
or
did.
The market?
Yeah, well, they did too. There's a horse going for like 3 in a row, 4 in a row, winner of 3 of its starts. It's been a great Knockoff. And we opened pretty short, 460, out to 550, back to 480 late. But they backed Zanzibar, even though it was 4 out to 5, minus 30. That was slightly disappointing. And Just Charlie, they got there. They got stuck in there, 17 into $7.50, minus 60,000. And she didn't have any luck, to be fair. Frankie tried to gun it across from the outside gate, and Jonathan Riddell, who was on the inside on Zanzibar, said, no, you're not getting outside leader. I'm going there. And she was 3 wide the trip, so she fell out of it. McCann was, made an interesting race of it. There's no doubt about that. And there was a bit of money for it. I mean, he's one of those on-speed influences, and he was 11 into 9. But with Zanzibar and Just Charlie being so well back, Knockoff was plus 20,000, even though it was 460 out to 550, back to 480 late.
Race 7 and Bozo gets home for Kevin Myers after that. Very good run down at Riccarton, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks back. Just a wee bit too tough for the rest of them. I see there was a big mover in the market, though.
Yeah, there was. You're right, exactly right. Bozo for you, got home for you and Kevin Myers.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I heard Steve Hunt on track trying to recover his bases, saying, the scratchings really bring Bozo into it after he'd potted it during the week. But for what, anyway, it was a good one from Bozo, and she was relatively well back. Break-even result, though, because a lot of money for Pride of Aspen in the race. It was minus 50,000. Uranui, customers weren't in love with it. In fairness, they were 330 out to 380, and it wasn't overly well backed, even though it ran a great race for second. The big mover was What a Charmer. And then Steve said, maybe the marketplace is thinking it might lead. And no, not to Steve, because I was thinking exactly the same thing. They must be onto the speed map. He had knocked this thing from 16 into 550, and Ashley Strawbridge just flopped out the back and was trotting around and got home really strongly for third. But money for Pride of Aspen in particular meant Bozo, we got out of it with a break-even result there.
Race 8 and the Finster for Chrissy Banbury, and Christelle decided to go for home with about, 600 or 700 metres to go, and the Finster just fell in.
I thought it was beat. It was exciting, though. Correct. Oh, my God, it was a great race.
Old man delivers.
Yeah, he delivered, yes. Right. Was it? Yeah, if they hadn't won, they would have tied him to the fence. As I'd say the old octagonal saying with Shane Dye, I think it was. But the Finster took off before acceptances and held on. And he's done that before at Wanganui. No knock on Christelle. That's the way to ride him. Put a gap in him. See if he can hold on. Cocktail Lad. The market, for a big field wide open, the marketplace got it remarkably right. I mean, Cocktail Lad was 9 into 5, the late move, and ran a very close second. Dojo Carter, that's the second time there's been money for Dojo Carter, and it ran a reasonable race, I think, for fourth. That was 9 into 6, and there was a bit of money for Smart Road, but minus 15. The Finster, even though he was 4 out to 450, at Wanganui, he's always a well-supported commodity. When he falls into the right race, that was it. Well done to Christelle, who timed it perfectly.
Certainly did. That's what you want. Yeah. Final race of the day, race 9, and Jack in the Box with Ashley Strawbridge getting the 4 kilo claim for Diane Anderson. And that 4 kilo claim came in really handy.
Yeah, it did. Look, they all backed Lady Brooke in the last, 316 to 280. That was minus 60,000. Ran second. And Jack in the Box, who had been to Wanganui once and run over this distance once and won. And it was back on the turf, and it's performed well on the turf and on the heavy tracks. It had been on the mixing it synthetic and turf racing, but the market found it late, 950 into 550, but the damage was done. It was plus 40,000 because Our Lady Brooke took all the money, and Riccarton as well, who was 9 into 6, back to its opening quote late. But as I say, Our Lady Brooke deserves the win. She got one taken off her in the protest room and then gets another second. So I felt for customers a bit there in the last, but Jack in the Box plus 40. It was the late market go, though.
Overall then at Wanganui for Saturday?
Small win. We did it tough around the likes of, Lisa Ladder gave us a touch, sort of touched us up a bit. Amazing Sun, and obviously Platinum Diamond. Bozo was only break even, and then the Finster was a losing result as well, but it was around plus 70 with the likes of Rich Attitude, Humza Bay, and a knock-off to a lesser degree. So, and Jack in the Box in the last. So not as reliant on one jockey and not as a bigger result as Riccarton, but it was a small win there, plus 70.
Okay, that's it for another week here on the Nose. We'll be back next week when we review the Route 1 Presere Plate Day at Ellerslie.
Exciting.
And, of course, the meeting at Otaki as well.
Yeah, can't wait, Paul.
It sounded like you might have one or two to follow, so keep an eye out for Thad on the money to follow? Follow the money. Follow the money.
Follow the money. We've got one. I think I've given it away, but anyway, if you've got the news first, that it'll be monologue for ARA, just between you and I.
Okay, then, that's it for another week here on the Nose. We'll see you again next week.